Okay, and welcome back to this After Effects tutorial series. My name is Chad Jones, and we will be learning about the effects contained in this commercial.
I'm home. Hey, little buddy.
Okay, so let's get started. So in our previous lessons, we have learned about the chip particles. We've covered the GoPro shot, the mat of the dog, the overexposed windows, and the crumbs on the crotch. Most recently, we worked on the dog's expressions, and in this tutorial, we'll be working on the digital makeup. Now, when I say digital makeup, that's a little bit of a misnomer. Digital makeup typically refers to tracking your subject's face and then actually modifying skin texture and things like that. What we're specifically doing is working on this shot right here. We had a shot where we dolly in and we rack focus simultaneously to change the perspective of the shot. And this was shot with an 11mm lens. So to get something that full screen with an 11mm lens, we were literally about, 8 inches away from his face when we landed right here on this shot. So we had a bit of a problem in that to get the correct angle on the lights, they were actually behind us a bit. And I'm going to turn off these adjustments here, and you can see we have some dark areas in the face. So the eyes weren't quite as bright as they need to be. The nose got a little dark as we got close, and I have this little shadow area right here. So what I'll do is I'll turn all of these on simultaneously, and you can see the difference. So that's what we'll be doing, is creating some areas of brightness selectively on the face that move along and animate with this camera move, and hopefully we'll make this shot a little better. So let's get started. To begin, we will grab our footage, drag it down, drop it on the new composition button, and here's our new composition. So just run through it one time. What we will do is create an additional copy of our footage, and we'll begin about halfway through the composition. I will grab my pen tool, zoom in just a bit. We will draw some glasses around our actor. This is actually kind of the fun part here. It's also kind of fun because this gentleman, Sean, he wears glasses in real life. He took them off just for the shoot. Okay. So, it does not have to be perfect. We're just generally wanting to encompass the area that we would like to modify. And there we go. Okay, so with this, I will pull up a curves effect. And apply it to our layer. And the idea here is I just want to increase the exposure of this area by around 1 stop. So I'm going to unhighlight the mask so we can see what I've done. And that looks pretty good. Now we'll need to soften this up a bit. We'll drill down into our mask control and under feather that out. It always amazes me when I do that, just to watch that just blend in like that. And that's the change we just made. It's pretty substantial. That's amateurish, and yeah, that's somewhat professional. Okay, not too bad. Okay, so now let's go and let's duplicate our base footage again. So footage without any modification on it. And let's work on the nose area. So I'm going to go all the way in here. I just want to kind of see where the nose is going to be when it lands and where it begins. So I'll start about right here. We did our other one. Grab our pen tool again. Draw a quick shape around the nose. And again, apply a curves effect. Bring that one up as well. You can get kind of crazy with it. Okay. Unhighlight the mask. And there's our modification. And one last time, we will work on the shadowed area on his chin. We'll start there. We'll duplicate our footage. Control D will do that for you. And again, one more mask. Right around here. I'm being very rough with these masks. Whenever you light a scene, you rarely get exact pinpoint lighting. Typically you're just kind of painting in broad strokes with your lighting instruments, so masks that kind of do the same thing are okay. They're just in the general area. We'll apply our curves effect again and increase our exposure. Feather it out. And we'll check it. Okay, that's much better. Now for the fun part. We need to animate these masks so that they stay tracked with the face the entire time. So let's start with the first mask that we worked with. And to change my controls for my cursor, if I press H, I get the hand tool. If I press V, I get the pointer tool. So the way I remember it is H for hand, and the V is the upside down pointer. So I'm going to go down to mask, and I'm going to click on mask path. Now that sets a keyframe automatically when I click the stopwatch for mask path. I'm going to go to the end. Now, masks are a little tricky, and especially when the color is very similar to your background. So let's change that color. Whenever you modify a mask, you need to be careful of every Bezier point in your mask. We have them all highlighted here, and that's great because we want to move the entire mask. But if only one was selected, only one would move for us. So I'm going to get it about right there. And why don't we modify it? So now I just have one point selected. I'm going to move this out, move this point out. Okay, that looks good. We'll do the same right here. So trusty autosave, saving my butt. Autosave has saved me more times than I wish to admit. Okay, good. So we'll look at the animation. Okay, so that tracks pretty good with his eyes. We'll go back to the very beginning, and it's a huge pair of glasses. You can drag and left click. You can see the area of modification that we have here, okay? So I won't have to do much to get this looking good right here. And I'm just generally concerned about lighting the overall area of darkness around his eye. So let's scroll through that, and looks like we overrun the eyes about right there. So every time I click again, I'm making new keyframes within the timeline. We will call that one done. We'll turn it off, or turn the highlight off, and we'll just watch it one time. And that's pretty solid. That stays with us here. Okay, we'll work on the nose now. So we'll go back to our beginning position. We'll highlight the mask and put our first keyframe in for mask path. And we'll go to the last position. We'll just need to animate some individual points here. Okay. Not bad. We'll go back to our beginning position. And this shot is almost done. That's always nice. Okay, so we'll turn that off and we'll watch this. At the very end, we get so close to him that it gets a little darker right at the end. And the way we can fix that is get to about the point where it becomes dark. Come back one frame. We're going to animate our curves now. So we're going to go one frame or 2 frames forward. And now we will just increase our exposure just a tad. Now let's see if that's a little too much. Maybe want to not do the entire curve, just the mid-tones. Yeah, I can still see it a bit. Now I can see it getting brighter, so some of this is just iterative trial and error. We're going to call that good for right now. And our last shot. H to grab the hand tool. Go back to the middle of the shot where we began. So we have our first keyframe. We'll come forward. We'll move this down just a bit. That might be all that we have to do. Maybe we just want to increase our exposure a little bit right here. Just a bit. Yeah, I see. Actually, that's staying somewhat reliably good. Except we do see that shadow area really kind of creep in on us right there. So we're going to modify our exposure over time by animating it just a bit. Okay, that softened that up a little bit. So now let's look at our final shot. I will turn off all the highlights and do a RAM preview. Well, still not perfect, but better than before. One thing we could do that I'm seeing is that there's a little bit of shadow creeping in on the lip. We could take our mask and just let that overhang a bit. Let's see what that does for us. Well, that helps. Okay, one more RAM preview. And I will unhighlight this, rehighlight our master layer. So again, that is after, that's before, and after. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. That's all for right now. When we come back next time, we'll be discussing just final color correction and just some explanation of some of the shots. So once again, I'm Chad Jones. Thanks for joining me. Hope you had a good time.